Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Brother Mike. Thanks for joining. Today, I'm going to be talking about why Nigerians are the most hated Africans in the world. BattaBox.
Think Nigerians are loud and arrogant?
They don't know how to talk. They must go back to their country and learn how to speak. And
what do you think about Nigerians or Nigeria as a country?
Some of them, they are good. Some of them, they're not okay. Yeah.
Like, what do you mean they are not okay?
Yeah, it's like they sell drugs to the people. It's like they are destroying some other people's family. So they must stop it.
And even carry their passport to say they are not Nigerians, because the target there is Nigerians. If you go to Congo, they are not comfortable with Nigerians. If you go to Zimbabwe and Zambia, they are not comfortable with Nigerians. In fact, even a country that is close to Nigeria as Ghana have a problem with the Nigerians. There is a problem. There is a general trait that Nigerians have. There's unnecessary aggression that other people don't find comfortable.
Why do you think there's seemingly an influx of Nigerians in most African countries?
Because their country, I think because of the terrorism effect that is going on in their country, and again because of the bulging population and the high rate of unemployment, so they are operating like Chinese. They are finding a way they can deposit their population. Unfortunately, they are depositing themselves with their Nigerian cultures, which do not fit in us. Even in Nairobi here, when you go to Kilimani here, we always see Nigerians opening, wanafungua bunduki, wanataka kupigana na the Kenyans. Those kind of things we have to make sure that they stop. If you go to Donholm, they are doing very crazy things with our ladies, and those are the things that in fact, even this week on Sunday, the police arrested 3 people. Some of them were Nigerians with fake money.
Just meet a Nigerian now and ask them who is the president of Cameroon. Most of them don't know. Name one city in Cameroon, they do not know. Just name one musician in Cameroon, they do not know. Name one actor in Cameroon, they do not know. You get? Their French teachers are from Cameroon. They don't know anything, that's the point. But we know practically everything about them. I'm not saying, I know you guys are the giant of Africa. We can't dispute that. But how come you guys are so smart? You guys are so smart. You learn everything. Yet, you don't know things about Africa. Africa, like different African countries. You only want to learn what is in Nigeria. Like you guys, please, if you not go for that page, go to say, we are one. We didn't mean it that way. I meant it that way. I meant it that way. When I not go twist my words. I said what I said. And I'm not sorry about it. Those people don't know anything about we. Now our brothers, but we know everything about them.
People say Nigerians are too sneaky, that they're too aggressive. I've heard that. They are very dishonest people. Nigerians are womanizers. Okay, yeah, they take all the women. They are scammers. They are too corrupt. They are too loud. That's another one. They say Nigerians are way always louder than any party. You can always identify a Nigerian because they are the loudest there. They love to show off their wealth. That's another one I've heard. They're the richest Africans and they love to show that off. Nigerians are not to be trusted. They're very corrupt. And they are internet scammers. That's also a very big one. Yahoo boys, 419. So just a lot of labels, just all over the place, talking about Nigerians.
That is not correct. That is not correct. And I've said this severally. Those are insinuations by some interest group. Well, definitely the insinuations by some interest group.
BattaBox. But why? Why is it that these are all negative or only negative comments or negative things you hear about Nigeria? So the big one actually one needs to keep in mind is that with Nigerians, we are the most populous country in Africa. So Nigeria basically is about 1/5 of all of Africa, approximately. So out of every 5 people you see, 1 is a Nigerian. So imagine if you had a room where there's like 100 people, 20 of them are Nigerians. So the most recent population from Nigeria census is 211 million. So there are 211 million people living in Nigeria as of 2022. So that means that Nigeria itself is larger than like 10 of the 54 African countries combined. So not only in Africa, but also outside of Africa. So the population is a big one because a lot of Nigerians means a lot of black people. And also Nigeria is the most populous black country in the world. Now, there are a lot of other African countries that are big, but what you notice about that is that they have whites or different races or Indians. You don't really have a country that big on the African continent that has just all blacks, and that's Nigeria. So that makes it somewhat of a kind of a black problem. I think it was President Goodluck Jonathan that said, if you fix Nigeria, you fix Africa.
For you to fix Africa, you have to fix Nigeria. And if you don't fix Nigeria, then you must fix Nigeria, because that's the highest concentration of blacks in the globe.
Crime is also a big one, you know. And the type of crime Nigerians commit, I want to be very careful to say that all crimes are crime. But Nigerians commit the traceable and dumbest kind of crimes, especially abroad, like internet scams and credit card fraud and all these, what appears to be Ponzi schemes. A lot of these are crimes that you can trace. Now, that is not to say that the USA or say places like the UK or Russia or Germany or Italy or any of those other countries or even South Africa does not have more criminals per capita than Nigeria does. So these are what you might call like morning crimes, whereby crimes you commit, people kind of don't really pay attention to it, or they're not necessarily traceable. But the crimes that a lot of Nigerians commit because of the nature of the economy are crimes that you can actually trace. They're like dumb crimes or stupid crimes. Again, I want to be careful. All crimes are crimes, you know. So not interdisciplinary crime. Just saying that they commit crimes that are easy to trace and just very, very kind of trackable. So it's easy to get caught by that committing that kind of crime. So the media then blows that up as, oh, Nigerians, you know, the crime, they commit that, internet fraud, whatever. And the whole point is because of the type of crimes that Nigerians commit. Nigeria is very big, but not just in terms of the population alone, but also in terms of the geo-ethnic diversity. So there are over 250 different languages spoken in Nigeria with over 200 ethnic tribes. What that means is that you have, in a way, like a mini Africa inside of Nigeria. Now, this is a very important point because within Nigeria itself, there's this kind of tension between the geo-ethnic groups and between the different tribes. Also, you have, on top of that, the religion. On top of that, you also have religious differences. You have many, many different religions within Nigeria. Nigeria is very big. So you just can't paint all Nigeria with one brush because you have many, 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 many different people within Nigeria, many, many different groups, many, many different tribes in Nigeria. And each tribe is unique and each tribe is different. So you may meet a Nigerian who is from a particular different tribe, and then you assume, well, because I met one Nigerian that behaved this way, that means all Nigerians are the same. But that wouldn't be the case, because you can't use a broad brush to paint all Nigeria, because Nigeria is actually very, 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 very diverse. So because, back to my earlier point, because you have different ethnic groups and different ethnic groups and different tribes and different sectors and just different religions within Nigeria, people always try to find a way out of the situations they find themselves in, because it's very, very tribalistic. So that's what transpires to the rest of Africa. That's what transpires to the rest of the world. Unlike many other African countries, whereby you have only a few or a handful of tribes or a handful of languages, it makes it very, very easier to be able to maybe put them into brackets and say, well, there are 5 different groups and we know these are the groups, so there are 7 different groups and these are the groups. The city of Lagos itself, by itself, has over 15 million people. That's bigger than so many countries combined together in Africa. That's just one state in all of Nigeria. And within Lagos, you have different ethnicities, different groups, different tribes, different people. So in a way, Nigeria itself is like a mini experiment. Was anyway with the British when they colonized the country and left in the 60s, 1960. So it's very interesting because those kind of differences is what goes out to the world, and the world then sees and says, wow, oh, Nigeria is, Nigerians are bad, Nigerians are too aggressive, Nigerians are too dishonest. But there are many, 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 many layers to that Nigeria that you see, and that's what reflects outside to the world compared to other smaller countries like Ghana, which they are not as culturally diverse as a place like Nigeria is. One thing also to notice about Nigeria is just the way the country was founded and the military dictatorship that took over from 1960 to 1999. So that's about 4 decades. There was a short period whereby there was democracy, then military took over as well. What that has led to is a country of corruption. And because the country is very, very corrupt, people always find shortcuts. So most Nigerians look for shortcuts. Like, how can I do this better? How can I do this faster? How can I do this more efficient? How can I do it in a way such that I can get things done quicker? So that translates to the outside world as saying, well, Nigerians like to cut corners. And that's primarily because of where Nigerians come from. Nigerians come from a country that is quite corrupt, quite honestly, reading with bad leadership, like really, really bad leadership. Bad leadership, corrupt leadership. And what that translates is people coming out of the country, in a way, they've seen what that looks like. And because they've seen what that looks like, some Nigerians may tend to be corrupt. Now, I don't think it's fair to take that 1% of Nigerians that are bad apples and just generalize and say, well, because you met a Nigerian that is bad, then everybody else is bad. And it's the same with the US, the same with Canada, any other country. There are criminals everywhere. There will be criminals everywhere. And because there are criminals everywhere, you should not generalize and say, well, because there's a criminal that I caught here, or because of the kind of crime committed, the media blows that up and all Nigerians are bad. So because of the nature of the country, the current situation, even going on as of the time of this recording in 2023, and just the policies being implemented with insecurity, Boko Haram, kidnapping, lack of electricity, bad roads, corrupt police officers, the country itself is struggling in a way to kind of define what it wants to be. And just by virtue of that, people kind of look down on Nigerians and say, well, your country is not that good anyway. Your country is not that great. Because your country is not that great, so maybe you guys are all not that great. But you can't just generalize and say, well, because of that, all Nigerians are the same, and therefore Nigeria is not a good country. So xenophobia is something that's very common, places like South Africa, whereby they just hate Nigerians. And part of that is because they say Nigerians take everything. Nigerians, wherever they get to, they want to dominate. Now, based on what I described earlier, because of the country we are coming from, because of where Nigerians are coming out of, it's a very, very tough environment. It's a very, very rough environment. It's a very, very difficult environment. So Nigerians who make it outside of Nigeria, they quickly want to assimilate. They quickly want to adapt. They quickly want to find a way to make things work. And they quickly want to find a way to just make the best for themselves, understand the system, be aware of the situation, situational awareness, and just try and make the best of it. So because of that, Nigerians have to be very, very quick on their feet. They are fast, they are quick thinkers, they are very smart. They find out what they need to do to be successful, and they quickly do that. So compared to people who are in that country, who are residents of that country, who are not used to that kind of rough environment that Nigerians are coming from, who are not used to that kind of tough environment that Nigerians are coming from, they may be quote unquote slacking, but Nigerians know where they're coming from and they know how bad it is, and they take advantage of that. So an example personally was when I left the country, coming from Nigeria, where internet was scarce. This was back in the day where you have to go to cyber cafes to browse, and you have to pay, I think it was like 1,000 naira for an hour to use the internet. Adjusted for inflation, 1,000 naira then was about $5. So imagine paying $5 to use the internet for an hour. So someone like me, if I get outside of Nigeria where there's abundance of internet, guess what? I will hog the internet. And I'm going to spend hours on the internet because I'm not used to getting unlimited internet access. Today now is different. There's unlimited internet access and it's relatively cheap. But the point I'm making is when you come from environments where there's limited resources, where there's scarce resources, where you can't get education, you can't go to school because the education system is very, very competitive. And then you come to somewhere in the US where there's abundance of universities, or go to somewhere like Canada where there's almost free secondary school education, or go to places like like Germany or Britain where there are resources and they're in abundance. Naturally, as human nature dictates, you want to like get all that for yourself. So the reason why Nigerians are hated by most people is because Nigerians come from a very, very stressful, tough, difficult, almost a non-functional government. And when they get somewhere that is functional, they end up trying to amass as much as they can. And they are more aggressive, they are more driven, because they've never had such opportunities to get what they can set their mind to. I think that's probably the biggest reason here. Why do Africans hate Nigerians? For the very same reasons. Nigerians try to take whatever they can, wherever they can, in the fastest and the most smartest, quickest way possible. There's also people saying Nigerians take all our women, Nigerians are womanizers. That is a cultural thing. Like Nigerians, culturally, they are respectful. Culturally, Nigerians are people that they care, and they care, they're respectful, they are loving, they are nurturing. So I'm going to make another video on why Nigerian men are the most loved men in the world. If you have any questions or comments regarding what I've talked about, please feel free to leave that below. And before you go, please try to like this video. Just hit the like button. It helps the algorithm. A lot of you have been watching the videos and you've not been liking. So please just do a teeny tiny favor and just hit the like button for us. Thank you so much. Again, I'm Brother Mike, and hope this was helpful. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, guys.
Bata bata, bata bata, bata box.